If prospects are ghosting you in the DMs after you drop the booking link, it's rarely because they are unqualified or they don't have the money, and you can send as many follow-ups as you want, but nothing is going to actually change. You're just gonna throw them off and they're probably even gonna unfollow. And no, the solution isn't just to change the script or to increase the volume, because if you apply volume to a broken system, you're just gonna have more problems. But there is one thing that takes 10 minutes to create, and then you can virtually use it forever, and it's gonna double your setter's performance or your performance in the DMs. And in this video, I'm gonna explain exactly what that is, how to create it, and when to use it. I'm gonna give you the exact framework so that you can replicate this for yourself, and then I'm gonna show you a live example so that you can get the best possible understanding of what it is and why it works. Let's get into it. And just to prove you that this is not BS, this is how many calls James booked in November before implementing this asset, 13. And with a very similar ad spend, in December, he's booked 30 calls and generated £21,000. So first of all, we need to understand why they ghost you. So they have a problem you can solve, they need your service, and they probably also know what the call is gonna be about because they're not dumb, right? So why they ghost you? Well, because they're not 100% sure that you are gonna get them the result, right? They don't trust you enough. You didn't show enough proof. And maybe they don't even see you as someone they wanna be like, and they were in a position of saying that they cannot afford it, or even worse, they've been pitched before, they bought, and then it got burnt, right? So the level of trust is at its lowest. So how do you build that trust, confidence, and social proof in the DM so that you make the booking a no-brainer? That is exactly what this asset is going to do. And this is way more powerful than a VSL or any other asset because it feels more personal. But before we dive into this asset specifically, I want to touch on a couple of things that you can do in your content and profile to increase trust and confidence even further. The first one is to have more optimized story highlights. So instead of slamming all your client results in one single story highlight, why don't you create a single story highlight for each client? And then you add the name of the client, the picture of the client, and the result that the client has achieved in the name and picture and cover of the story highlight. The reason why this works so well is because you're gonna have more story highlights. So subconsciously, the prospect is going to think that you have more case studies. Then the prospects are gonna be more likely to actually consume the story highlights and watch them all because they're shorter. And then people can actually choose the one that is more relevant to them, right? Because in the name, you're gonna add name and result, or name and situation, or name and goal. Because of that, people can choose the one that is more relevant to them, that resonates the most with them. And on top of all this, you can keep updating the single story highlight for that client as you keep working with this client and you keep getting him results, right? So it almost looks like a story instead of just a story highlight. It's really a story that unfolds as you keep working with this person. The second thing is more optimized pin post. So what I like to have is story, case studies, and the third pin post is going to be your process, your system, your unique mechanism. And in this post, which can be a carousel or a reel, you have a call to action to redirect people to your YouTube VSL, which is the first long form asset. So this is a video which can be 20 to 30 minutes long, where you not only go over your roadmap, the exact process you use to take clients from A to B, but you also show your case studies and talk a bit about yourself. And then other long form assets include client breakdowns and client interviews. These are fundamental to build that social proof. But all this is useless unless you have bridges from Instagram to YouTube. So in your story highlights, in your reels, in your carousels, and in your bio, you must have links to redirect as many people as possible in as many ways as possible to as many YouTube videos as possible. So pretty much every single YouTube video you create, you should create a story highlight just to at least get your followers, your recurrent followers, to watch that video. This is also going to help your organic YouTube performance because more interested people watch the video, so the retention increases and the algorithm on YouTube is going to show that video to more of those people. And then one last thing you can implement before we dive into this asset is of course sending voice notes in the DMs. If you have a setter, you want to record canned voice notes with the most common questions or answers so that you can build that trust and you can remove that layer of uncertainty, because right now people think that they are chatting to bots. So you want to remove that uncertainty, and you do that by creating voice notes or canned voice notes. Now finally, the secret weapon is a loom breaking down a client result that is gonna look like you recorded that loom for that specific prospect. Let me first tell you how it's structured and give you the exact script that you can implement yourself, and then I'm gonna show you why it works and when to use it. It's fundamental that you use it at the right time, otherwise it's pretty much wasted. So you're going to get Loom, which is a software for your laptop that allows you to record your screen and yourself at the same time, and then you're going to record a video that is gonna go something like this. Hey, I was thinking about you, and I remember you told me in our conversation you were struggling with XYZ problem, and I thought I will just record this quick video that I'm sure might help you. Now here's the thing, you need to position the video as helpful for them, not just bragging a case study. Otherwise, they won't gonna watch it. A couple of months ago, John reached out to me because he was facing XYZ problem, so we decided to jump on a quick call to define a roadmap together. So what you wanna do here is you wanna provide some context, introduce the case study, and show the problem. Now the problem is gonna be the exact problem that that prospect is facing, and as we're gonna see later, you're gonna record different of these assets for different types of ICP that you're dealing with, so that you can send the one that better resonates with that specific prospect you're talking to. Now in this section of this asset, of this loom, is important that you show them and you tell them low-key the steps that they need to take if they want to endure on the same program. In fact, in this step, if you followed, I said, so we decided to jump on a quick call, right? So low-key, you tell them you need to jump on a call with me. And then you say to define a roadmap together. So you don't position it as a sales call, you position it as a strategy call. So again, you reduce friction. Then you picture a very clear scenario of the initial situation that your client that you're breaking down was finding themselves in. And when you do so, you need to make the situation as similar as possible to the one that the prospect is facing. And along the way, you could also say what they've tried before coming to you and why it didn't work. This way you pre-handle objections. And then in step 4, after you've done that, you share the journey. You say, so John and I decided to start working together and this is what we did. And then you lay down the exact step-by-step process you follow with that client to get them XYZ result. Now, the key here is to make it stupid simple. You want them to have extreme clarity on your process to feel confident about it. So along the way, keep handling objections and always look back to logical and emotional benefits. During the journey, you're going to have a turning point. This is the moment where your client really made the switch. And what you want to do here, you want to make the person watching this video, so the prospect, feel the emotion that your client felt after making that switch, which is the same switch that they want to be doing. And then at the end, before the call to action, you describe the situation that the client finds themselves in right now, which is the exact desired situation that the prospect wants to be in. And then you can either have a call to action that kind of reminds them that the first action to take to get through that process is to book the call, so you can just have. I hope this was valuable. Let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, if you want to maybe chat and see if we can do something similar for you, just let me know in the DMs. Or if you have a full interview with this client on YouTube, you can redirect them there so that they can watch it. Now, just some important notes before we dive into why this works and the psychology behind it and when to use it, which is fundamental. Position it, like I said, as delivering value, not just bragging and showing a case study, because people don't care about case studies. So at the beginning, it shouldn't even look like a case study, right? At the beginning, it should look like a value video for them. And then as the video unfolds, after 20-30 seconds, you introduce a case study and you deliver the roadmap as, again, still valuable, not just bragging about what you did for this person. You want to increase fear of missing out. You want to make them feel stupid, say no, where you ask if they want to go through the same process. You want to give clarity because, again, they don't know you, they don't know your process, they don't know how you help people, especially if they haven't watched your long-form assets. So you want to give extreme clarity on how you work, why it works, and how you get people result. You want to pre-handle objections, so create a list of objections that you usually get on sales calls and in your DMs and just pre-handle all of them in that asset. That's going to not only increase your operate and increase booking rate, but also closing rate. Make them visualize the dream outcome. Remind them about their goal. Make them picture in their mind what their life is going to look like after working with you. And through explaining the journey, give them a taste of what's going to be like working with you. So talk about your fulfillment, talk about how you've had that person, the calls, the support, and all that. And then, like I said, low-key, lay down the steps that they need to follow if they want to go through the same process. So mention the call at the beginning. And what's really, of course, important is because you're sharing your screen, you want to show pictures, you want to show messages, you want to show screenshots, right? You want to show proof. You don't just want to talk to the camera, you want to actually share your screen. That's why you use Loom, so that you can actually show, for example, the assessment with that client or the first call you had, and then the desired life after. Now, the reasons why it works is because, first of all, this looks and feels personal because it's a Loom video and because it's sent in your DMs. Now, if you are B2B and you're handling big prospects, then you want to record this video personal for that prospect so you can tailor it even better. But if you're maybe B2C and you're handling a high volume of calls, then you want to just create an evergreen, or like I said, multiple evergreen ones for different problems and different prospects, and then you can send that over. The thing that most people get wrong with appointment setting is that they jump in the DMs and they can only see the booking. Their main goal is only the booking, and prospects can sense that. If they don't feel like you care about them and their results, they will never book. So this makes them feel like you care and you're not just trying to book them in. It removes limiting beliefs in you and in themselves because it shows how this person, very similar to them, actually have done it through your program. It removes skepticism by showing social proof and giving clarity. It builds FOMO. It gets you to spend more time with your prospects, so you increase watch time, so you increase trust. And then it sets you apart from all your competitors, because very few people are using this technique. And just think about it, right? Imagine your prospect is speaking to two people, you and another coach. The price is the same, the program is the same, you have the same amount of social proof, the same amount of case studies, the same amount of personal proof, but you are sending that asset. Who you think the prospect is gonna go with? With you. Because now they feel more connected, they feel like you care more, they've seen a case study at a deeper level, so they like you more and they're gonna be much more likely to book with you and not with the other person. Now, before we wrap it, when to use it, and this is fundamental because if you send it too early, it might not make sense. So usually you wanna keep it as a jolly. So first you ask questions, normal questions through voice notes or text, and you understand about the prospect's situation. What this is gonna allow you to do is gonna allow you to understand which loom is best to send out to that person. Because again, ideally you're gonna have a library of looms for different ICPs talking about different problems, pain points, so that you can send the one that is more relevant and resonates more with them. So you can just keep it as a follow-up and send it when they ghost you, but also when you have enough information. Alternatively, you can send it during the conversation, but when it makes sense. Let's say, for example, that you are a fat loss coach and the prospect just told you, yeah, I've been trying this diet and it didn't really work. Then what you can do at that stage, you can be like, oh, that's a shame. I'm really sorry to hear about that. But that's actually pretty common because that diet usually doesn't really work because of XYZ reason. And then you send the loom asset breaking down a client who was using that specific diet before and it didn't work. And then after going through your program, they lost weight. You see now how important timing is, because if you don't send it at the right moment, they're probably either not gonna watch it or it's not gonna have the same effect. And even if it was an inbound, a super easy booking, I would still send this after they book as a nurturing asset before the call. Right, I hope this was valuable. Try it for yourself, implement this asset, go back, follow the script, create your or yours and use them in your appointment setting sequence. And the asset is fundamental, as you've seen, is one of the reasons why we're able to double James's booking from November to December, but it's useless unless you know how to do appointment setting correctly. So you can watch this video right now to understand how to do appointment setting in a way that triggers buying behaviors.